Good morning, amazing YouTube. All you people, how are you today? Welcome. I hope you're having a fabulous day because this is Terribly Live and I sure am having an amazing day. I'm checking in with my friend Drake, DK Trades. He's up in Canada. How are you, Drake?
Hello, Tara. Hello, everyone. I'm doing great as always. Super happy to be here, ready to get some nice wake and bake tokes in ya. And hear from Wendy pretty soon. We've got Wendy popping in a little bit. Come give us an update.
Super excited. I'm so looking forward to talking to Wendy. Speaking of thinking of Wendy all the time because of the fires that were down in California. And oh my gosh, we have blue skies today, DK. Do you have blue skies where you are? You're muted.
I press the opposite. We've got the sun trying to poke through, and it's not nearly as smoky. Like I think our index is down at like 80 or 90 or something, not 316 like it was, which is still nothing compared to what some of you people have had to suffer through. So hopefully for everyone, it's getting nice blue skies. They're getting control of the fires, and we're working forwards.
Exactly. Well, let me get live chat up here. I didn't get chat up. Make sure you have it up on live chat, not top chat if you're tuning in live today. And how is everyone out there? Make sure you say hi so I can say hello to you in chat. And hey, what are we puffing on first thing? I think we need to get this off with a dab. What do you think?
I agree. I'm loving that Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies. It's just got a nice garlicky vibe. It punches you right in the face, and it's just got that kind of raunchy, garlic-ish profile. So I'm going to jump in on that first. What about you?
I have got some choices here, boy. Let me tell you. I have been to the dispensary again, and I can't stop. I can't stop with the solventless, man. I am so lucky that I'm able to get solventless. I have got some. This is new. This is a peanut butter rainbow from Northwest Pacific Roots.
That sounds delicious, but I am going to just intervene here for a second and say your audio went a little quiet on us again. Nothing too crazy, but you just quieted down a little bit. Okay, you're still coming in, but if you could turn it up just a smidge, that'd be great. Then fill us in on the rest of those lovely concentrates.
When I did it go really loud last time when I checked it in?
So the last time when it did this to you, you turned it up and it went well. And then about 15 seconds later, it kind of turned itself back up a little bit more, but I don't think it was overpowering. I didn't hear anyone complaining in chat. So.
Okay, how's that?
That's perfect. Yes. I'll let you know if it gets too loud.
Okay, let me know.
But now, rainbow, okay. What was that?
So, yes, peanut butter. I had never even heard of peanut butter. Peanut butter rainbow. You ever heard of peanut butter rainbow?
I have not.
That is exactly what it says right there. Let's see if we can get it to focus. It'd be really cool if we could get it to focus because then you guys could see what the...
I don't know. That'll take technology cooperating with us.
Wait, it's going to work.
Like to do.
It's going to work today. Okay, I hate you. It's not going to work today. Wait. Well, next time I'm going to load a darn picture because this is always happening to me lately. I don't know what I even cleaned the camera off today, so I don't know what's up with you today. But anyways, we'll go on. The other one I have to smoke on, I still have some of that Mendo Punch left. That has been amazing. The color of that was just amazing. But, color isn't all. Let's not be racist here. Let's see. And then Freeze, that's another one. And these are all hash rosin, you guys, except for the first one that I told you. That one is actually... bubble hash, not rosin. And then lemon cream. I would say this lemon cream probably punches me in the face the best out of all of these that I've tried. So I am going to go on with that one first thing right now with that. So what's everybody else puffing on out there and what you got? If you got something new, tell me about it.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I was thinking one of these days we should have a glass show because you have some cool glass you could show off, and I think you have some friends we could have some cool glass see and invite people in if they have some glass they want to show off.
Why not have a nice little heady shesh and a little show and tell and give some respect out to all these artists that are just busting their asses, putting out some super cool pieces.
Yep. But it doesn't always have to be about expensive glass. I smoke on my little daily driver here. This was an Amazon purchase not too long ago. I'm still really happy with this thing. And it has a nice solid base because we know Tara gets a little dangerous.
A little violent, a little excited.
Yeah. she tends to hit shit. So yeah, I'm not sure. Wendy should be checking in any minute, y'all. So make sure you to share this and hit that thumbs up if you think you might like it today, and you might think someone should see the video today. Let's see here. I guess I could show y'all what it looks like. Not be so snotty here.
Yeah, let's take a little look.
Which one was that one? Oh, I left one of them out. I don't even know what that one was. What was that one? Oh, that was Platinum OG. That's another one I have. Platinum OG. Forgot that one. I was sitting down in front of me. Okay.
Yes, I haven't had nice platinum for a little while, but I'm usually a pretty good fan of that one.
That's what I got left of that lemon Kim. Oh, now see, look at that. Why did that totally pick up? That's really weird. Let's see if I can follow it in with that.
I just wish I could put my dabber through the screen.
Oh, look at that. Now it's showing that. That's crazy. Huh? Oh, well. Okay. Well, cheers, y'all. Hope you're having an awesome, fabulous, happy, high Sunday out there. I was waiting for Hash Church to start. Sure didn't see that going on at 9 o'clock this morning.
We need our church. Where's our church?
Bring back church. Bring back church. All right.
But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I see K420, DK, Dab PIY, Just Puff, Sound Remo, Your Boy. Cheers, all you guys. What are you puffing on? You got anything extraordinary this morning that you're starting with, or just a good old fashioned? I know if Zach was here, Plant Profiles, I bet he'd be smoking some Congo.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm going to have to get that Congo back for next year. I really want to grow that in my garden. I really missed out on it this year. I didn't have it this year. Oh, speaking of which, autoflower. I got an autoflower I need to go out there and cut. Maybe I'll go cut that while we're live. Just go out and whack it.
We'll see. Maybe if Wendy takes over and she's chatting, we'll be able to let you sneak out there and cut it down for us and have a look.
That'd be do that and then bring it back in and show y'all what it looks like. I really need to get it cut because, you know, when plants are overdue, they are just ready to be cut. And botrytis, am I saying it right? Because I have a hard time stating that word. Really sets in. You really have to watch and be on that, because as soon as those buds are overdue, overripe, they're saying, I'm done, pick me. The moisture, the dew in the morning sets in. It just, I think that just,
and the sheer size of your buds, because when you're finished your cycle, you're going to have nice, thick, big buds. So if you have a bunch of moisture and water or humidity that's just floating around, it's going to get its way in there. And if you have any of those little lovely borer caterpillars that get in there and cause your botrytis as well, or bud rot, or whatever other various rots that they have, you definitely want to get it a couple inches below and get that picked as soon as possible.
Exactly. And look at that. We'll give Wendy a minute. Looks like she's all setting up there. Look at, she's all good and purty today on this fine Sunday. She got her beautiful lips on. I love it. Woohoo.
Good morning,
welcome, Wendy.
How's it going?
Fantastic.
It's going well. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, we're just finally getting lots of nice clear blue skies and getting ready to hopefully take the kids to the beach and go get some more fish for FAA, and yeah, just trucking along.
Cool.
So hey, Wendy. So for people who might not know what FAA is, almost said FFA. FAA. If they don't know what FAA, what is that? You want to fill them in real quick?
There we go. Just remember that. So FAA is fish amino acid, and it's one of the inputs we use in natural farming for added nitrogen. So right now is a great
Wendy, wait a minute. We lost you. Wait a minute.
We lost Wendy, but it looks like we're gaining D420.
Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear Wendy out there? Wendy, can you? We can't hear you.
Let me turn that off.
There you are. I hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, weird. Go ahead, Wendy.
Yeah, my phone.
So as soon as you started explaining what it was, we didn't hear you. So go ahead.
Of course. Okay, let's try this again. So my phones do really odd things quite often. I think that just switched to Bluetooth for some reason. I don't know why. So, okay. So I know. This is why I deal with things like this, because these things and I communicate really well, and the phone stuff, not so much.
I think all of us can really relate to that right now.
Living things, living creatures.
We appreciate you getting through it.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my goodness, of course.
And then she gets dropped.
Murphy's Law, anything bad that can happen will happen. So on that note, we can say cheers to Darren. What's up? How are you doing, D420?
Well, I thought I'd come in and have a bong rip and see what's up for a minute.
Well, welcome, my friend.
I'd have to say you timed it pretty perfect.
Yeah.
Because we've got all sorts of fun technical things going on. I know you love them too.
Oh,
so.
Not technical difficulties. My favorite thing to deal with.
The favorite thing, the early morning. What's better than a cup of coffee, but some technical difficulties? All right, we got you, Wendy.
And now she's sideways.
Third time's the charm.
And now you're sideways, Wendy.
Oh,
Awesome.
Lord. Okay. Is that better? Did that fix it?
Ball's back in your court, Wendy.
Oh,
Good morning, bloopers.
It is. It's just comedy this morning, right? When it's just like, we are our own improv show right now. Am I still sideways or am I right side up now?
Well, actually, you're right side up, but you're frozen. Oh, wait, there you are. Okay, you're coming in. Okay, good.
Okay. Woo! Fish amino acid is awesome. So, FAA is used. Let's just, Tara's cracking up. This is too much. We've lost the entire audience at this point, but people are going to go smoke a bunch of weed and then they'll watch this again and you'll all be on the same page as us and it'll be perfect.
There we go.
All right, FAA, let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish amino acid. So basically, when we're talking about farming, fish is a really great source of nitrogen. People get really worried about the mercury and contaminants in the ocean, but I mean, at this point, I kind of feel like, use what you've got, do what you can with what you feel comfortable with. FAA is used to like a 1 to 1,000 to 1 to 500 ratio, and you start with equal parts of fish and brown sugar by weight. So if you have 100 pounds of fish scraps and you put in 100 pounds of sugar, and then you're extracting the liquid from that, and then that's being used at a 1 to 1,000 ratio, the level of contamination is really, really minimal at that point. You probably get more contamination by eating a can of tuna fish than you do by putting this on your plants all year long. So basically what we do is we go and get the scraps from our boat dock. So there's actually a fish cutting place in Eureka too that usually has a bunch of excess fins and tails and heads and whatever the parts are that they don't use, and they just put them in these big tanks outside and you can go get them. But I definitely prefer to take my kids to the beach and actually make a fun day of it instead. And so you take those fish scraps, all that waste, and you mix it with your brown sugar and you let it set for ideally a year. 6 months is good too. You can start extracting at 3 months, but it's really not ideal. It's not finished at that point. And it's basically just a great source of nitrogen. And so fish emulsion is another fish product that people use, and then fish hydrolysate. The problem with fish emulsion is that they just literally grind it up, and it's a heated process as well. So you're really losing a lot of those amino acids and those enzymes and all the stuff that's in the fish that makes it really, really good and makes it so that you can use it at really minimal amounts. I mean, I actually have a bottle of fish hydrolysate here that I think it says the amounts you're supposed to use, and they're pretty hefty. I mean, it's not like, basically if I have 1 gallon of FAA, I can make 1,000 gallons of 1,000 gallons of input. So this is a 511 made from something that they scratched out, which is really weird. I've never seen that. It's actually literally like scratched out with a Sharpie, which is kind of terrifying to me. How do you make through without, let's see if I can look at that little black line.
Oh,
wow.
Oh. Let me highlight you for just a minute. Let me see if I can spotlight your video, Wendy. Okay, yeah, we got you spotlighted.
Must be
okay.
a great input if they had to pay someone the time to go through and scribble it out in every single bottle.
Instead of just redoing the label, yeah, this is CPAL.
Wow.
I think this thing's been around for a while. I don't really know when I bought it, but fish scraps, urea, phosphoric acid, and kelp. And it actually, oh, here it is. Okay, so 1 to 3 tablespoons per gallon of water. Repeatedly, if a site, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so 1 to 3 tablespoons per gallon. I don't know the math on that. I could look it up, but I'm not gonna.
Probably using closer to like half of a tablespoon though for the FAA though, correct?
1 to 1,000. So basically, for every liter, you're using a milliliter. So 3.785 milliliters per gallon of water, whatever that adds. Oh, actually, I could tell you that is about a teaspoon, right? No, a teaspoon is 5 milliliters. So it's less than a teaspoon per gallon. So 3 teaspoons per tablespoon, which means that you're using about 3.4 times the amount of fish hydrolysate that you would. And actually, this might be emulsion. It's not even, it doesn't really say whether it's emulsion or hydrolysate. It just says liquid fish.
Probably scribbled it out.
Right. I know, it's true. What did they scribble?
So
like,
what is the Alaskan one considered, Wendy?
I don't know. I'd have to see the label. I know what you're talking about. It's been so long since I bought anything.
Because I actually, that's what I have used. That's like, yeah. And I've even used it. I used it earlier this year. So like, that is one of the things I've used. I even tried to do a brewing thing with it. I'm not sure if I really did it, I don't know. Yeah. So that's it.
Don't brew with fish in your tea. You can add it. Yeah, add it at the end before application. But if you're actually brewing with it in there, and people do this all the time. Like I see it a lot, and it's in a lot of recipes and things. And like there's a powdered fish that might work okay. But overall, your that sun is really bright. It's beautiful. Overall, you don't want to add fish in the brewing process of a compost brewing. It decreases biology, and we've seen this across the board with compost teas and everything. So really making sure that you're adding it before use, but not with the brewing is the ideal situation there.
That's an amazing tip. Thank you. Because I see so many recipes, like so many that are all calling for it, right? So that's great for everyone out there listening. Spread that out to people. Put it in right before you apply. Just kind of like if you were to do a recharge, if you're adding recharge and microbial inoculating, you don't want to do it beforehand and kill off half the stuff in it. You add it right at the end so you can just add that diversity in.
Yes, exactly. And again, because we're not looking for, there's not a lot of like living active components in the fish. There's amino acids and there's enzymes and there's nitrogen and NPK and all that good stuff, but it's not a biological process. This is meant to feed our plant nitrogen, and that's not what the microbes feed off of. That's not what our compost tea our activated compost tea is doing. So really make sure you're adding it to feed your soil and to feed your plants, but you're not adding it to feed your microbes. When we're brewing, we're trying to increase our microbial population. So if you have an actively aerated compost tea, that's going to be increasing your bacterial and your amoeba and whatever else is in there that you put in there, depending on what you put in. But it's not the stuff you're putting in is feeding those microbes. It's feeding that population. It's not actually meant to be increasing your NPK ratios. It's increasing your microbial population. So I've said that like 4 times. It's important.
keep drilling it in. We love it. Thank you.
Dude, it was super important because seriously, like I was totally told, hey, just throw it in with your tea, throw in some molasses. And these are guys that I respect. Like, wow, I'm shocked.
But things have changed a lot too. So like as we continue to learn with our soil science and as we continue to look at these things under microscopes, and as more and more of us are doing this and more people are doing side-by-sides and trials and really saying like, well, how long can you leave an actively aerated compost tea, an AACT? How long can you leave an AACT before it goes funky? And there's a great guy, Jonathan Traxler, who's in a lot of our Facebook groups, and he's super smart, man. And he'll go deep into the science. I tend to like try and keep it pretty, understandable for the layman, so that you're not like, oh, I don't know what a gibberellic acid is. Do I care? I don't know. I just want my plant to grow good. But he'll go deep into that stuff. And he actually did an AACT. I think it was him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And posted the results of turning the air off after 12 hours. And I mean, there were boatloads of ciliates, and it might not have been Jonathan. It might have been somebody else now that I'm thinking about it. I can't remember. But like the ciliates were there. There were some other biology, but these are things that that thrive in anaerobic conditions. And it's not necessarily a terrible thing for the soil, but again, it's not really the biology that we're after. So, as we continue to learn and do things, we're figuring out more and more what works, what doesn't work, what's a really good idea, and what's kind of maybe not the best idea. So yeah, the fish thing is something that was commonly advised to do a long time ago. And as we are actually looking at side by sides and scoping, here's exactly the same input, but this one had fish, this one didn't during the brewing process. What's happening with the biology there? And across the board, it's the biology is suffering when we add fish at the beginning of the brewing process. One of my dogs is
very interesting points. I'm
Okay,
trying to remember.
so did you? Oh, sorry, DK. Did you see that question in chat? I didn't know if you. Okay, so we had a question in chat. So no fish in brew, but doesn't Chris Trump still add FAA when bubbling liquid IMO?
I would have to get my recipe card out. I don't know it offhand. The other thing to keep in mind too is that liquid IMO is different than an actively aerated compost tea. Okay, so what we're doing in LIMO, liquid indigenous microorganism, is we're actually extracting all the biology from our IMO. We're not actually like there's not a ton of population that we're doing. We're getting all the spores out. So basically what IMO is you have all these fungal strands and all this fungal biology that you've created in the substrate. And now what you want to do after it goes, so you let it go for a while until it's all done. And at that point, what's happened is those fungi have all sporulated, and there are boatloads of, if you've done it right, fungal spores everywhere. So you don't have live active biology in your IMO. That takes adding water. So once we're adding our water, we're not in LIMO, but just in the soil. Once it's in the soil and it gets moist, it's able to actually create those fungal hyphae, and it's doing its job of communicating with your plants. With liquid IMO, we're basically knocking all of those spores into the water. Some of them will sporulate and actually create fungal hyphae, and then we're adding that to our soil. And the FAA, again, I would have to look at the recipe card for that, but it's also a very short process. So, AACTs are often gone for like 36 hours, I think. Again, it's been a really long time since I made one, so I'm not recalling exactly.
Yeah,
but
little variance.
Well, we are putting you on the spot, so Wendy, it's okay. Like let's just make people aware that this is some stuff that's just come up. It's obviously we can check and make sure, and we can verify and check in the next time. And also, we could also on Instagram. You guys go contact Wendy on Instagram. Also, make sure you follow Cannabis if you haven't already followed her. This is who you're talking to right now. Oh my gosh, she's so amazing. I love all this knowledge, Wendy. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll double check that for you guys, and I'll post something on IG about it. There's a lot of these things that I do so often, I have them memorized, but I don't do a lot of LIMO anymore. So the liquid IMO is great for larger applications, but the reality is I really like IMO 3 and IMO 4 better. And ideally even into IMO 5, which is when you're taking, so IMO 1, for those of you who don't know, is a collection of indigenous microorganisms from our old growth forests, ideally. Then you take that, you make it shelf stable, that becomes IMO 2. You add it to carbon and carbohydrates, and you propagate out on a substrate. That's IMO 3. IMO 4 is when you add that to soil and you inoculate your soil to make basically a broadcast for your garden beds. And then IMO 5 is when you take that soil and you add it to a nitrogen source, such as dairy manure or chicken manure or rabbit, whatever, any kind of manure, or if you're vegan or you're going for the the non-animal side of things, then that would be something like maybe alfalfa or grass clippings. I don't know, some type of high nitrogen source.
I feel,
So
feel like we were just in like a football chat where you just like gave us all like the motivational speak, and now it's just like everyone break, go make some IMO 1 through 5, like get on it. Like incredible, Wendy. I love it.
34, 24 blue. I know.
Exactly.
I was just thinking how much information comes off of these channels. If you really wanted to, you could learn something every hour of every day new about this plant. It's nuts. Love it.
That's true. That's one of the things I love about the fact that, we have so much social acceptance now of cannabis, and we're able to have these conversations and really, talk about things and encourage people and learn and share. I mean, I'm second generation cultivator. So back in the day, for me, it was like everybody grew weed in Humboldt County. Everybody did, but nobody talked about it. It was like, what do your parents do? Oh, they're a contractor. My dad cuts firewood. My mom is a seamstress. It's just all,
yes. Very good trade, that firewood cutting.
A lot of firewood and a lot of construction in this county back in the day. Now we have a lot of weed growing.
Sorry to cut you off, but one thing I'd like to touch on is touching base with these old school individuals that are like the guys that I learned from, that just, there was no thing of getting paid going into these places. You slaved your ass off just to be a part of it. You worked for free just to cut clones, just to trim, to be a part of it was cool. And those guys are still so set in their ways. They use stuff like cigarettes and stuff like that, and they're soaked in water for a bug spray, and they do so many different quirky things that work. I'd like to get a hold of some of them and touch base with them to throw your knowledge at them with what's going on, and have them actually like listen instead of being, no, I know what I'm doing. Well, because there's a lot of guys like that. I'd like to break those barriers. So yeah.
I totally agree. We actually had an old school grower on our radio show on KMUD last month. And it was a great conversation. He was like, finally kind of delving into the legal world, and it was, a lot of them are actually like way more open and on par than you'd think. So it's definitely conversations I've had, and you have to break through that barrier of paranoia and fear that still exists. I mean, for those of you who haven't heard about Humboldt County, we were severely persecuted during the war on drugs. Still kind of are, it's still hit or miss, but especially during that era in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s. I mean, the last raid at our farm was, I think, in 2000, and it was only like 3 or 4 years ago. And
wow.
Camp was it was recent. So Campaign Against Marijuana Planters. We have a fairly small farm. We were 215 compliant, but it didn't matter back then because our county and state didn't really care that much. And they were generally always busting like huge grows across the river or up the mountain from us. But it happened 2 years in a row. And I was like, man, I know what's going on. They have a few extra hours. They want to up their plant numbers a little bit more. So they would drop into one of our fields that didn't have any structures by it, and they would chop it down. They did it again 2 years in a row. The first year they cut it down and just left it. So we went in at night and like picked everything up and hung it. And it was early, but it was, still okay. And then the year after that, they came and we went back at night to check. And I was like, they took everything. Like, it's all gone. This sucks. Like, we're super bummed. Our stack of 215s was gone. Like, they took everything. And so we show up there at midnight. I had a small crew of ladies with me. We all dressed in black. We were joking about being like, nighttime ninja. Can't remember exactly what it was. And I said, you know what? They dropped scraps. Let's just pick it up. At least I'll have some medicine for later this year. I'll figure it out, whatever. I don't know right now, but pick up whatever they left. And I went through, and this was in our light deprivation area. And I went over to one of the plastic tarps because there was a branch sticking out of it. And I was like, man, they don't even do a good job. Like, look at this huge branch that they just left behind. Like, they didn't even take it. And I pulled it up, and the back of the tarp flipped open, and everything was still there. They had put it all in the tarps, covered it up, and like one of them had a hose on it, so everything was like super nice and crisp, and like it was, so we picked everything up and hung it back up again, and then we built a little cabin next to it so they would leave it alone, because Humboldt County had what was called an open field policy, which meant that if there was no curtilage nearby, they could come in and hit anything without a warrant or anything. They could come chop it, take it away, whatever. Yep. But if there was a curtilage nearby, then they were supposed to go through the proper procedure for search and seizure, which means getting a warrant and all of that. So we built this little tiny, like, it was supposed to be a teardown shed because we didn't have a building permit for it. So we built it like with walls and no floor. And it was just like meant to protect us. And that was been 2015, because in 2000, at the end of 2015, our county went into a medical ordinance and said, if you want to grow weed, you should let us know and sign this horrible waiver that says we won't protect you. And if we get a subpoena, we'll absolutely give over your name, your phone number, your address, and everything else. So needless to say, not many people joined in on that one. But then in early 2016, actually I think it was late 15, early 16, we got a letter from our water board that said, we know you're cultivating cannabis. You have to join this wastewater discharge program. And at that point, I was like, well, if we're going to tell one government agency that we're growing, we might as well just go for it. So we went legal, and that cabin then became something that we didn't need anymore, because we had the protection of our county saying that if you said you're going to go through this process and get, pay taxes on the weed that you grow, and we have a square footage tax. And, it was a really arduous situation. The program is hard to get through, but getting through it was great, because I was like, I don't have to worry about the guys in helicopters dropping down out of the sky anymore. But even with that, watching that process through, 2015 through 2019, basically even 2018, but even through this year, watching those old school growers try and figure out, like, do I trust my government? Like, I moved to Humboldt County because I don't trust my government, but now I'm losing my way of life because our county has said anything over 6 plants, regardless of if you have a medical permit or not, if you have a prescription from your doctor that says you can grow 99 plants, you don't get to. You can grow 6. That is it. Or you will join the ordinance that says that you are commercially cultivating. So that's something that our county did that basically, kind of goes against Proposition 215. I realize I'm throwing these numbers out too. And for those of you who aren't from California, Prop 215 passed in 1995. And that was a proposition for medical marijuana that was put through by Dennis Perrone. He was an amazing man. And that gave us the right to cultivate medical marijuana for ourselves and for patients. You could be a caregiver. It started the dispensaries, all of that. And then we had Proposition 64, which passed in 20. Wow, I don't even know. When did that thing pass? It feels like 25 years ago, but it was really only like 3. And that basically has shifted our entire political, the political outlook of cannabis in California. And it's gone a lot more big business. It's gone a lot more difficult for small mom and pop commercials to get through. It's extremely expensive. And it's really been it's been a bummer. I'm happy that there's taxes in a way that are being paid back to the state from people that maybe didn't before, but I don't know. Honestly, most of the people I know that grew weed, we all paid taxes anyway. We were firewood cutters and, construction people and landscapers. We weren't weed growers, and now we're weed growers instead, and we get to pay like 20 times more tax. So
Right.
Anyway, the political rant. We've got everything's twice as much too.
Yeah.
The minute it's kind of like the minute you mention a wedding for a photographer, right? It's like, woo.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Inflation,
you get the
yeah.
jacked prices.
Yeah.
Hey, and I just noticed in chat, DK actually went out of his way and checked out back again, and he said, Wendy, I checked and I was wrong. The Chris Trump's liquid IMO recipe does not use FAA or IMO 5.
I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, I haven't done that in like, I don't know, since spring. So
You see
yeah,
what she
cool.
did there? She was going to go and check before she started saying things just because she wasn't sure. So that's just a good reminder for everyone out there to make sure that you're confident in stuff first and make sure have that double check, that triple check before we start spreading things, because all it takes is one of us saying one thing and then it goes 100 times over before we realize, oh shit, that was the wrong thing. So, and always make amends. It's, you know, it is what it is. We're all human, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're all guilty of that. I mean, I've said things that I'm like, oh, that was just totally wrong. And I've listened to things where I'm like, yeah, why did I say that? That wasn't, I mean, whoops. But yeah, just do put those posts out where you say, I made a mistake. This wasn't correct. That was bad information. Hey, I tried this out and after all, it didn't work. Which, by the way, you know, the ash protocol that I did, I don't know, for those of you who are suffering from wildfires, it is working pretty well. I'm pretty stoked. This is the branch that I ran the big protocol on. So rinsing off all the ash. I mean, it's clean. It's not 100% perfect, but this will pass for foreign contaminants in California, which was the big fear. So this is one that I washed. It's on my Facebook page. I could not get it to load to Instagram, so I apologize to that. But if you go to Wendy Kornberg with a K, it is set to public, so you can look at the protocol. So that's one. This is the best one. This is the washing technique that worked the best compared to this, which has not been washed at all. So it's you can still see there's tons of ash. There's no way this passes California testing for foreign particles. There is a question whether this plant has absorbed enough to fail toxic. For arsenic is the big issue in California. A lot of the trees that we have arsenic in them. So when they burn, they can actually deposit arsenic on the plant. But I don't think we're going to see that. The thing I don't like, the thing that worries me as a cultivator, and I'll be getting to these today. I'm going to wash everything down. I just wanted to give it a good solid 5 days before I did it for sure. The thing I don't like is, I don't know if you can tell or not, but like this leaf right here, there's some funky discoloration that's starting to happen from the ash. And I think that mostly has to do with basically just a suffocation of the stomata and the chlorophyll that's in this plant. So like, well, I can't really find. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
That would make sense though, Wendy. That that makes sense. Like when you black something out, of course it's going to start to die.
Yep.
Underneath there.
So, and this is my home grow. So I'm letting it get tortured because I do this stuff so that people can see what happens. So this leaf, even when I brush that ash off, you can see there are these dark striations that go down along the surface of the leaf. And I don't like the way that looks. That worries me, but I know that these plants are super healthy for the most part, other than this.
So are you seeing on all of them, or is it just cultivar dependent on that?
It seems to be, so these are all temple wooks, which is Bodhi seeds. I'm testing these for them. So this was some tester packs I had. You know, I don't see it as much on this plant. So definitely different phenotype, right? So that is certainly different looking than that. So some phenotypical deviation. Here's another temple look, and look at this. Look at the color on this thing. That is not from it being cold. This is not a purpling. This is like a browning, rusting. I don't even know how to describe it. So this one is showing it much more significantly. It's on all the buds, right? I mean, that color, that's not healthy. This is not a good sign. So I don't know why this plant is showing that stress so much more. And I don't really know what this stress is. I haven't looked into it. I might send this off for leaf sap analysis just to find out because I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
But I got to find the leaf sap analysis people that'll look at weed because a lot of them don't want to touch it yet.
Wow. Figures.
We would love to get you to get a couple pictures of those too and fire them over to us, and we will throw those up next time when you're catching up, and we can kind of get a closer look for everyone watching.
Yeah, for sure. And this has gotten, I mean, it's gotten so exacerbated this last few days. So it's interesting watching this stuff. I love having a home grow and being able to really, you know, test these things out. And like I said, I mean, I can't torture things like this on my commercial cultivation because we have to go through all this testing. But at home, I'm like, oh, you know, I can totally torture my plants and see what happens and stress them in different ways and try different trials on them. And
but that's awesome. You have access to be able to have your homegrown tested, like, and you know how to have it tested. Like, I wouldn't know the first thing to go where or what to do or even what to look for. So like, yay, I have you now. But that's awesome. Yeah. So Wendy, do you want to talk about, I hear there's like some John in your life.
Oh, Amazon John. I was like, John, I have a John.
I hear there's a John in your life.
Is this Amazon John that you were talking about?
No, wasn't there like someone, didn't someone say like you have some seeds? Olivia Newton-John in your life?
Yeah. So I'm cultivating for Olivia Newton-John, and so through Patrick King. So Pat's friends with John, Amazon John. He's amazing, by the way. If you guys get a chance, Google him. He's like the coolest dude ever. So his story is, I'm going to date myself a little bit here and talk about the movie Medicine Man with Sean Connery, right? Where he went into the Amazon looking for something and found some cure for cancer. And Amazon John Easterling is along that route. Well, he went into the Amazon to look for like Aztec gold or Mayan gold, or where, I don't remember exactly where he was, and getting really sick. He had hepatitis, and while he was on one of his excursions, he got really, really ill. And so he ended up connecting with, oh shoot, am I frozen? There we go. He ended up connecting with the medicine men in the tribe, and they started giving him all of these herbs and all of these like roots and teas to drink and things. And all of a sudden he was like, I felt better than I'd ever felt. Like, he was told by Western medicine he was never going to get better. And so he kind of switched and went, you know what, the real gold, the real treasure here is in these herbs and these, you know, these things that these ancient tribes have all of this access to and all of this heritage knowledge of herbalism. So he started, so he has a company called Bioharmonic Tonic, and it uses a bunch of like Amazon herbs and then crystal resonance and all of these really cool things. We play a certain, when they make the tonic, they actually have a certain music playing. So there's this whole idea of crystal resonance and sound vibration, and putting that into your soil and adding to the microbial life and adding this whole energetic balance. It's really, really cool. I've been loving it. So yeah, so we're cultivating, oh gosh, I can't remember now, 17 or 24 different cultivars, which all go into this tonic. So Patrick through Seed to Soul will be distributing it, and it'll be in retail, possibly later this year or early next year, but really we're still in the trial phase of dialing it in and making sure the cultivars are what they're supposed to be. And John has formulated this whole thing to have all of these specific cannabinoids in them, including all of the minor ones. And it's something that Olivia Newton-John used last time to battle her cancer, to help her get through it. So it's a pretty cool project. It's been really, really fun to grow all of these different cultivars. Some of them are super high CBD. Some of them are balanced. There's THCV, there's CBG, there's CBN. There's, I mean, like all the CBs and TCs and, you know, everything. And yeah, it's a really exciting project, and I'm loving talking to John. He's just really fun. I got to say hi to Olivia the other day. She was in the car with him. She's really sweet. And then her daughter Chloe is also just an amazing human being, and her fiance is James Driscoll, who I dragged up to Chris's class in Boise. So they came out to drop off some more Bioharmonic Tonic. We got to hang out with Chloe and James for about an hour or two. And I was like, you should really come to this class, James. It's really cool. You should really come. It was like 2 weeks beforehand. He's like, I'm going to go. I'm like, yay, I love this. So I got to know him better up there too. And they're all supposed to come out to the farm, or at least Pat and John and James are. We were waiting for the skies to clear. I should check in with them and see when they're able to make it out and do some media stuff. But yeah, it's an exciting project, and I love that it's just really, it's medical. It's not about, this really is support for cancer patients. And as they go through chemo and radiation, should they choose to go that route, this is something that can help alleviate a lot of those side effects. So it's not that I would say that to the FDA, because of course this is not a cure or a drug and has not been evaluated by the FDA and whatever that disclaimer
Number one, I
is.
love that you even just say that, like right there, that it will just go nicely hand in hand. You're not saying don't do chemo, don't do the conventional, but you're just saying this can possibly help mitigate certain things that could potentially be caused by the side effects from that. It's just the hand in hand things, the why not, that extra barrier, the take your vitamins but to the next level kind of. It's beautiful.
I think that when we start going down into the more of the aspect of the mind with the plant and what you're comfortable with, there are people that have died from cancer because they were told they were going to die from cancer, and during the autopsy there was no cancer. So the power of our mind is astronomical. So if you think that you need to do chemo and radiation to get rid of your cancer, but you're willing to support that with some herbal supplement, and it doesn't matter to me whether it's weed or St. John's wort or, echinacea, golden seal, whatever, the case may be. 1 second, baby. My opinion is that if you believe it will help, period. If you don't believe that a cannabis tincture will cure your cancer, it won't. It doesn't matter how much medicinal properties that plant has. A lot of this has to do with intention, and a lot of it has to do with, our energetic vibration, what we're bringing to the plant, what we're bringing to our earth, and what we're bringing into our bodies. So if you're focused on, I'm dying, you're dying. It's just how it goes. Our minds are absolutely amazing and absolutely powerful. And if you are focused on, I need chemo and radiation, but I'm willing to support with this, I think that can be something that absolutely wins. And if you say, I absolutely believe in the healing power of plants, then I think that you can go that route too. But you have to know that you have to believe in the possibility that it works. Otherwise it doesn't work.
And you have to have those around you also encouraging you. You really need a supportive crew around you when you're healing through these things. I'm sure D420K can tell us some amazing stories that he's heard cannabis heal, and being on Hash Church all those times and all that stuff. I know I've heard amazing stories on Hash Church, and just I love to hear all those healing stories of people. That's just
there was one story on there that it was about that young kid that started using orally the cannabis extracts and went from not even talking or anything, just like literally a life of 60 or more seizures a week or something like that. It was really, really heavy on him. And the story of the lady telling us about her little girl saying, I'm hungry, I want some Fruit Loops or I want cereal or something, and then was walking around and everything. Every one of us on that panel had a tear going down our face because it was so happy. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So yeah, it's there's amazing stories. We've had people up here that we've reached out to because they put something on Facebook. My dad's dying, my mom's dying, or whatever. Like, we're trying everything. We're willing to try, THC or this Rick Simpson oil, or complete strangers. And I've got a hold of them. We've met them, had my buddy, because I was out of town, meet them in Walmart parking lot, like a little fancy, under the counter dope deal. And there was no, we don't charge anybody any of this stuff. We just want to see if it makes a difference and help them out and everything. And then they phone you up and say, hey, what is it okay if he eats chocolate cake? And I'm like, Absolutely, that's part of the process. Like if he's getting his appetite back, that's a good thing. And she goes, yeah, but he ate the whole cake. Like these people are literally in their deathbeds laying down. And this was Rick Simpson oil. This was stuff made from isopropanol back in the day that, there's more stuff out there now. Like, I don't know, the distillates, the isolation stuff. I feel
Ethanol extracted oil for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like that ethanol now, right? That's how they're doing it for the Rick Simpson oil. Is that correct, DK?
Yeah. They call it the FICO or ethanol extracted oil for the most part. There's a few ways you can do it, but generally, yeah, that's a safer way.
So like even when it was still bad to consume, it was still a bit of a poison. Perhaps some of that was part of the cancer killer. I don't know, but I'd like to contribute it to the, reward the weed for that, the plant. But these people are all in their deathbed. They've all had, it's all right down to the wire. I got 2 months left, or I got 6 months, or whatever. And each one of these people have lived for years after. They're out of bed, they're golfing, they're doing the end of days, if you might say, pretty much the best way that they can. And that's fucking beautiful, man, because you get so, my parents, they went both from cancer, and fuck, you couldn't even talk to them in the end because they were so doped up with everything. You couldn't communicate. This way you can communicate, you can hug, you can love and express yourself, It's beautiful. So yeah, that's a little bit of my story on it that I know. And if I was talking more about it, I'd probably start crying because I'd be happy about it.
That's
serious
so
things,
many
right?
powerful stories. So many people. And actually, I got one more quick thing I'll share. It's over on Facebook. They've got some podcasts and they've got just a whole bunch of great information they put out. Stopped for a while, came back again, but it's the Cannabis Health Radio. And they've just got all sorts of different, pretty well firsthand stories on here. And the podcasts, I think they're on Google Podcasts or whatnot. And just really the things that'll make you well up throughout the day. And if you're not super, let's say, educated, or if you're not super aware of all the different things that it can be good for, it's a great podcast.
Good people disobey bad laws. I love that. That's awesome.
That,
exactly.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, DK. I don't really watch podcasts. I'm such a visual person. Obviously, that's why I'm on YouTube, and that's why I started YouTube. That's why House Church worked for me, and that's why I started getting educated on that. And Darren, I really appreciate you coming and hanging out today on this Sunday. It's really awesome. And I appreciate you sharing that story. The one that I thought of, like, that brought me to tears was when they were talking about Cyrus and all those kids having the seizures, and they had Forrest on there, and oh man, whew.
Yeah,
that was probably the one episode that I just really tore me apart.
I think the whole world that was watching did. Like we had lots of viewers on those episodes, and they touched everybody. If you didn't get touched, fuck man, I feel sorry for you because you got something wrong. I don't know.
I'm constantly at, when we used to do conferences and shows, and when we could sell direct to the public, like the people that would come up after, so they'd come to one show and we'd sell them some weed, and they'd come back the next time we were at an event and be like, you don't even understand like how much this changed my life. And it's such a bummer that this got so stigmatized for so long, that it has taken this long to really get past that. And it's taken a lot of places, like other countries like Israel, to do a lot of this medical testing and a lot of the, studies to break it down and to be like, hey, this actually is like, this really works. And this is really a really good medicine. And it's not just about getting high. And yet somehow like we can buy and pound a bottle of Jack or a bottle of tequila, and that's totally cool. Like that's good fun right there. But like, oh no, don't use cannabis as a medicine, and don't smoke weed to get over social anxiety. And I mean, I say all the time, I'm like, there is no such thing as recreational cannabis. You're smoking because you're medicating something, just, whether it's paranoia, anxiety, an actual physical medical condition, like, even if you're just smoking to have fun, that's still not, I mean, I guess that's technically recreational, but if you're too anxious to go out or you're uncomfortable in crowds, but smoking a joint helps you loosen up and be more comfortable, then there's a medical aspect to that. And again,
That's
into that mindset, right? That
people get
mentality.
prescribed anything that a person gets prescribed something for, to me, and you're alleviating that with an herb, that to me is amazing. Like, that's just amazing that you can take advantage and take your own health in your own hands and do something for yourself with a plant. I love that. And you talking about the anxiety thing, that's a huge one. Like anxiety, everybody has anxiety these days, especially with all this stuff going around us. Like we all need this. Speaking of which, it's time for a hit for me.
Sure is.
Cheers, everyone out there. Thanks for tuning in, everybody in chat. Welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, Cannabis D420K are joining us this morning. If you haven't already subbed up to them, please make sure you do. Go follow them over on Instagram. D420 also has a YouTube channel. Did we share that out? We want to make sure we get all these shared out in chat. And also, if you have some information that you think we need to share, please contact us. We'd be happy to show you out, get you up here on the panel, and have a chat.
And sharing like the medical stories too are, it's so important for people to hear. You know, it's so important to see that, you know, this is something that helps people across the board, little kids, old people, everybody in between. You know, my one of my dear friends, Pauline, had really bad cancer, and Western medicine had said, you know, months to live, like it's time to go home and, you know, sort your affairs or whatever it is that they say. And she's still here. You know, it's been a couple years, and she has an amazing story about healing with herbs. And it's not just weed, but all kinds of supplementary herbs too. And when we really tap into, you know, not just cannabis as a medicine, but its companion medicines too, right? So I mean, like the salves that I make have tons of different herbs and herbs and supplementary essential oils and things like this. And you know, I'm such a fan of plant medicine. I really am. I just, you know, instead of taking aspirin, we can boil a willow and like extract that. We should be doing that more. We shouldn't be supporting pharmaceutical companies. I know it's a pain in the butt, but you know, again, this is also why I love Korean natural farming for our farming, is because I get to make all this stuff. I know exactly what I'm putting on my plants. I'm not, except for that bottle, right, which had this thing scratched out on it. So I'm not sure exactly what that was all about. Like I said, I think I've had that fish product for over a year or more. Got bought at some point and never got used, and so I was testing it out. But you know, for the most part, I know what's going on my plants. I made it. I bought the herbs, I bought the tinctures, bought the sugar, I did the whole thing. I extracted it myself. And there's really a wonderful, I want to say freedom, but there's something really special about interacting with your plants on this level where, you know, so for those of you who haven't read this, there's a great thing called The Secret Life of Water. Is that it, right? I'm blanking on his name right now, but there's this Japanese scientist who took water and froze it, and he's been debunked and then he's been supported, and you know, it goes across the board. I'm not going to go down whether or not it's true. I just find it very fascinating that he did this and showed it, which was that he took water and he wrote things on it like happiness, love, joy, inspiration, blessings, whatever. And he froze the water. And or maybe that one he didn't freeze, maybe it was the music. See, I can't remember. You guys will have to look it up, but it's cool. It's really interesting. All the things that had positive vibrations had these beautiful crystalline structures. Yeah, Secret Life of Water. Is that it? Yes, that's him. Yeah. And then all the ones that he yelled at and, you know, put bad words on and, you know, just added all this negative emotion, all froze in these really like chaotic structures. So, you know, again, this idea of bringing peace and harmony through our intention and through our, you know, what we're putting into something. When you're doing natural farming, you're able to put that into the input that you're making, not just into when you're putting it on your plants. So if you guys are new and you haven't heard of natural farming, in the United States, we call it Korean natural farming, or KNF, but the rest of the world just calls it natural farming. I highly encourage you guys to check it out if you want to take things to it's just, there's a level, because I've grown weed my whole life, right? We did salt-based nutrients, I tried hydroponic, I went to bottled organics, and then from there we've gone to like less and less bottled nutrients, to now where we don't really buy bottled nutrients anymore because we make them. And the connection that I have with the entire farming process is so much more satisfying than it was when I was buying a bottle of something and adding, 10 parts of part A and 3 parts of part B and 4 parts of part C. Like, what were those? I don't know. I mean, grow, bloom, and micro, but being able to actually like read my plants and see what they need and have the inputs that I made myself for pennies. I mean, it's also really economical. So if you're, getting to that point where weed is getting less and less expensive and your margins are getting shorter and shorter, it's another great thing to check out, is not just the way that you're able to connect, but at the end of the year and you're like, wow, I spent like $40 on nutrients instead of 4,000. It's huge. So it's just, yeah, there's something really special about this way of farming, and not just for weed, like for everything. Like, this isn't just a cannabis thing. This is like all of the veggies and fruits and flowers and everything is all natural farmed now on our homestead. So
and, that's exactly what I appreciate about you guys, Wendy. The whole regenerative, Dem Pure, all of that, Dragonfly Earth Medicine. If you guys haven't heard of them, I sure hope you have. Go check them out as well. Because that whole method is about keeping it on local and on your property, and about helping you save money. When you save money, you're making money. People forget about mentioning saving money. Everybody's talking about making money. How can we make more money? Well, first start saving money. You have control over that. You have control over what you spend. Quit buying stupid shit you don't need to buy. Sorry. That was a soapbox right there for a little bit. How's everybody doing?
that was awesome. I totally agree. I find that the longer I live, the more I'm like, why do I have all of this stuff? Like, oh my gosh, the stuff is just, and then you just have to get rid of stuff, or you have to organize stuff, and you have stuff you have to clean, and like, why do we have so much stuff? Like, I don't know, van life could be pretty cool if I didn't have 2 little kids.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Oh, I hear you.
Wow.
Wow, this has been an amazing morning.
So many knowledge bombs.
Yeah, I'm just like kind of speechless right now. I'm like, wow, it's been an amazing morning. Wendy, any should we maybe end on this note? It's been awesome. Do you have some final thoughts, Darren? And we'll let you go after Wendy. You want to do that, and we'll see.
Yeah, I know I should probably get in and get my day going too, so I can get out to the beach and collect fish for my FAA. But my kids have to get them finished with their homework first. Oh, homeschool, yeah.
There's a battle.
And it's funny because I
Back and
love
forth.
educating, but when it comes to that, it's not exactly my happy spot. So we all have our strengths and weaknesses, I guess. That one's a bit of my kryptonite, but we're getting through it. It's working out. We're doing it. It's fine. We just have school 7 days a week. So, but yeah, I want to encourage people to, if you're growing on your own, think about ways that you can really up your game to be more regenerative and more sustainable. Even if you're in a closet and you're renting your home, and just there's a lot of ways to be able to do this more sustainably, even if it's not going to be sustainable because it's indoors. And feel free to reach out to me at Sunibus if you guys want help. If you're like, I don't know where to start, I love helping people on this journey. I think it's really important. And if you're not growing, then I know that it takes research, and I know that it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I really, really, really recommend that you find a farm that you support their ideals and you support their core values, and then support that farm by buying from them. California, not even California, but across the United States and the world, in fact, there's a lot of talk about You know, I'm not supporting the legal market because it's putting all this money into taxes and all this bullshit that I don't support. But know that there are people that are just straight up good farmers that need your support in the legal market. So I get it that you'd rather buy from your dealer on the corner, because a lot of times that's supporting a family also, and that's rad too. But don't decide not to buy from the legal market just because you think that that's supporting a bad system. And it is, don't get me wrong. I'm really, I don't love where our taxes pay for. I don't love our government. I think that we've got some real issues in the United States that have to be fixed. I know Canada also has some really bad issues with the legal market. But that being said, you know, you really, really make an impact when you get to decide where your money goes. So when you get to decide how you're going to spend your cash and who you get to support, I just, man, I see so many people that want to support these huge companies that are just, I mean, they're just not doing things right. So find a regenerative farmer, and not even, again, not even with weed. Weed is great too, but like, go to your farmer's market, find your local farms, find your, you know, go find somebody to do a U-pick at their farm, or just growing food happens everywhere. I don't care where you are in the world. I guarantee you that within driving distance, there is a farm that is growing food that you can tap into that resource. So as we start to decentralize, right, I think we start to get a much healthier planet and much healthier people. And I really, really encourage you to figure out how to, especially if you don't want to support the government, figure out how to decentralize, figure out how to support a CSA, consumer supported agriculture, figure out how to support a local farmer, figure out how to grow your own. I mean, if you have a window, you can grow something, even if it's basil or chamomile or whatever it might be. Like, plant something. There's also microbes in the soil that support mental health. So if you're struggling, plant something. Get a pot of dirt, get some indigenous microorganisms, go out on a hike and find some like forest litter to toss into it. I don't even care what it is that you do or what it is that you decide to grow, but just get your hands in the soil. I swear to God, it makes a difference. I swear to God, it helps you create balance and stability in your life. So there's my soapbox.
Well, preach it. That was beautiful. We love it. I mean, we love you coming on. It's amazing. Thank you so much. Any other words? Anything else you'd love to say?
No, that's about it. Here's my little one. Hi, Bella Bean. You want to
have macaroni now?
macaroni?
Oh, you've been waiting patiently for macaroni?
Let's get a good picture. Hi.
There we go.
Sweetie. Oh
Well,
my
thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great lunch. And now, Darren, what do you have
Thanks,
to say?
Wendy.
Talk about yourself a little
Love you
bit.
guys.
Just a
Love
little
you
bit.
too, Wendy. Have a great one.
Just a little.
You know, as Wendy was preaching, you know, you have to have plant something and you have to have something in your life. I was thinking there's two things. There's plants and there's animals. That was perfect right there. I got you both because my dog just deserted me, but you know, you got your dog there. And like, I think that is like animals have helped me through some of the toughest times when I talk about that. So Dee, take over. Let me hear about this dog and you.
Well, this is my little, one of my partners. I got my little Dabs. Everybody knows Dabs from Hash Church and all that stuff too. This one, she's crazy. Look at that little smile with her tooth up. She's 6 months the end of this month, and she is so smart. It's just, I can't believe it. Really easy to train. Well, she's a terrorist too. Don't get me wrong. She's a puppy completely, but she makes you happy. Lots of cuddles in the morning and all that. Both of them now are jumping on me, waking me up at 6:30 now instead of just 1. So that's fine. Gets me up early. If I go to bed early, they just get up earlier. So it's either 4 or 6. They need their 8 hours type thing, no matter what. And if I'll give her a follow, her and Dabs. There's my other little one on there on the chair with him. And if you're growing your plants, stick to it. Learn to do it. Extract your own. Break them down yourself. because it's expensive out there. The best products are the, you know, and these guys that make some seriously good extractions, they keep the best stuff for themselves. Don't think they don't. And then there's other stuff from that level down that's really expensive. So if you can break it down yourself, I've got stuff on the heat mats and stuff. I'm trying to make diamonds out of solventless product. I'm probably wrecking some shit. Like I've literally pressed a pound of flour, and it's probably at the worst case scenario, I'm going to decarb it and put it in edibles, and I'll still get it, but you know, it's not going to be wasted. But you know, it's scary putting something the way it is, the way I've been told to do it, and just putting your trust in other people's knowledge. Sometimes it's hard to take that leap, that jump of faith, but we're doing it. And I'll
Well,
keep
speaking of which, yeah. So if everybody's just tuning in now, D420K, he has a YouTube channel. Make sure you go check it out. We went over there and we helped him do a live. So D is doing lives over there. He's showing you guys how to press and do your own medicine, man. It's amazing. Those pictures on Instagram. Wow. That, you know what? That YouTube video did not do your product justice. Those pictures look way better on Instagram. Go look at Instagram.
And that's flower rosin too. It's like that's fine, but so there's one guy that's on one of my videos, the most recent one where we're talking rosin live, that one right there. The guy left a comment on there. He's like, flower rosin is trash. I'd rather smoke BHO than do that and all this stuff, right? And I'm just like, dude, you'd rather smoke BHO than a solventless, than any solventless product. I said, that's fucking funny. I give a good laugh, but you know what we're trying to do, what I'm doing is I just want to, my buddies send me memes. Fucking, my buddy Buddha Blaze, he's like, friends don't let friends smoke flower rosin and all this. So we did a video, we tried it out, and I got some flower rosin from some of my buddies, and whoa, I do see the difference, but I want to see the difference from flower rosin and then hash it, fresh freeze it, hash it, press it, and then have it all side by side and test. So far, I'm literally sold on changing my ways of flower rosining and just straight up fucking washing, no matter what. Pizza box cure, because I don't have the freeze dryer, but I'm gonna have to acquire one because it just seems to be the next step to have a better tasting, a terpier tasting product that kicks your fucking ass. I'm humbled by it because the stuff that I smoked was fucking better than my flower rosin. So I'm gonna make my shit into bubble hash and then press it and see what it does. It's gotta
And I have to agree. You know, what have I been buying at the store? You know, it's all been hash rosin. Or the bubble. Like, I love it. Like, bubble hash rosin. Like, I just like, yeah, like I'm going to be bubbling this year. It's a good thing you guys are all teaching me how to do this stuff. Good thing we learned on Hash Church first.
Man, there's so many teachers out there now that are coming out of their shell and just saying, you know what, fuck it, I'm showing people. And
it's awesome. Like Rosin Ryan is out telling all kinds of things. And
yes.
D, who are the other ones that you like really like and you like think that share a lot?
He's muted.
Nope. You're not muted.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, what'd you ask me? Sorry.
Awful timing. I was looking off quickly saying something about our ducks that are being little shit rats. But yeah, what'd you ask him?
$2. Well, that's okay. I was just saying, Rosin Ryan was one of the good guys that was really telling a lot of things on secrets on how to do things. He does a lot of lives on Instagram. I was just mentioning. Is there anybody else you'd like to mention?
Well, Rackham's has some fun.
Rackham, that's it. Rackham's, that's what. I couldn't think of the other one. Rackham's.
Very nice guy. I've reached out to him to maybe try to get him on a show to just drop some knowledge and drop bombs. Like, he shared some information with me before and on Hash Church when we had him there.
Thanks, DK.
And the guy answered every question. I kind of bombarded him a bit because I was so curious on stuff, and but he was so willing to share every bit of knowledge he had, and and he washes his, he bubble hashes, then he presses, then he takes it when it's buttered out and presses it again and makes diamonds. He makes the THCA and stuff like that. And that's, now we were on our last episode on my live, we were talking about flower rosin and then, you know, the difference, right? So we were making diamonds. Now our guy KBR Productions, is that right? Yeah, he was, we were talking about it being viscous and it needs to sit like that, and if it butters out right away, his guy that does this stuff doesn't even touch that stuff. Now Rackham's takes that buttered out stuff and really low and slow presses it for a very long time and squeezes the sauce out, and what's left is a THCA, and then he makes diamonds out of that. Like, the guy's got some knowledge on there, and his page is phenomenal. And if you really had anything, you know, any questions, I bet you he'd answer you if you messaged him, because it seems to be that way. Everybody's pretty open with it, and you know, there might be some things that people are doing that want to hold on to their bit of tech, and that's fine. Respect all the way, but
just try not to make it a super basic question, especially for Darren and any of these guys. Like, they got no problem answering you, but if it's like, well, you know, the ones and twos of things, it might take a little longer. They might be a little hesitant. If you could just find it simply by looking somewhere, you know,
watching the video, like watching one of the videos.
It is tough to discern information. Like, I'll give everyone that. Like, there's so many different, you know, outlets and sources, but like, if it's some of the basics, there's so much good information now just on the ABCs of what to do for any crop essentially, but especially with the cannabis here and all these different processes for the extraction. So make sure you do a little bit of your own research first, because their time's valuable, and you know, when they give it out to people, hopefully it's worthwhile, because otherwise we like to share videos like this and get all the information out just to everyone or to the masses as much as we can.
Good, well said. You betcha. If you're a company that's making a lot of money and going to make a lot of money off of what we share with you, oh, fuck, man, kick us over something. What the fuck? But if you're just a person that's growing 4 plants and wants the best of what you can do with them, fucking ask away, man. I'll share whatever I know with you. And if I don't know, well, I might be able to direct you somewhere too, or I might be able to ask that person myself and feed you the right information. You never know. Make a show about it. We'll do a live feed and talk about it. Period. Easy peasy, man.
Awesome. You're awesome, Darren. You're so awesome. I just love you.
You're awesome.
I just love you guys. I love all you. On that note, let's take a big hit. And you know, one of our friends out there says he's been sick in bed. He's been resting a lot. Let's pass some good vibes his way. And everybody out there that's having some trouble these days, let's pass some community vibes out there to everybody and get this community loving more.
What's making him feel bad? Why is he in bed? Is he in Canada? Does he need meds? What's the story?
You know, I'm guessing that a lot of us are just having all of this lots of, you know, this energy is just bad energy. We're all like feeling it. And I know a lot of us are feeling the anxiety, and I know they talk about the full moon and the, you know, I mean, maybe that does have a lot more to do with our energies than we really want to admit, because if the ocean can be tided in and out, the whole ocean can be pulled by these things. Why don't you think your little body can't be? Sorry, that's just a thought. Darren?
It's a solid thought, because I do remember when there's been, in September, there is a time that the planets are aligned, and they make you feel, they totally made me feel totally anxious for about 2 weeks. I just couldn't touch on it. Like, what the fuck is that feeling? Get away. What the fuck? Get away from me. This weird, just kind of something on you. And it's just
itchy on the inside.
Yeah. Like, there's, you know, we're bodies of water. We're big old meat sacks with a brain, and we run on electricity and fucking zapping, and like, what the fuck? How can we not be affected by the moon, by tides, by fucking eclipses? I don't know. I agree.
I've always wanted to kind of know more about the plants and the planets and all of that more, you know, like the cycles and the life cycles. Maybe that's something I need to really get into. I'm sure there's a YouTube video for that, right, y'all?
Go to Gaia.com.
Gaia.com. Okay.
Gaia.com will tell you so much. It's like Netflix for
Really?
spiritual, yoga, fucking the truths of Egyptian stuff, or the Anunnaki, everything. Gaia.com. Check it out. Bong rip, mother lovers.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I couldn't stress it more. Gaia.com, GIAI.com. There is thousands of videos on literally just how to do yoga in the morning, afternoon, nights, like on ways of healing. There's stuff on the power of the mind. There's the placebo effects of different drugs. There's everything you want to know about every herbal drug and mushroom and every star chart, what it means, the pyramids, all the different pyramids throughout the world that were put up, the histories behind them, the histories before the ice age, during the ice age, after the ice age. Like, it is a fucking huge network of information, like right down to the field markings in the fields and what those messages decipher as and stuff like that. It's very interesting. If you want information, fucking throw that on there. It's like inspiring on everything. If you're having a bad time in your life and you want to meditate, it'll teach you how to meditate in probably 1,000 different platforms. Like, it's just nuts how much information is there.
Sweet, Darren. Well, yeah, we love the shout outs for sure. So everyone watching, you know where to get it.
That was awesome.
You want to hear some freaking interesting stuff? Got some extra chronic on your hands? You know where to go.
There's some stuff too that you're like, what the fuck? What? Come on. Like, it just, no way. But open your mind up, man. Fucking anything's possible. Vampires and werewolves exist. I don't know.
Idiots.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but fuck, there's shit out there. It talks about the aliens, all that stuff. The Anunnaki is the biggest one that I find is the most interesting story. So check that shit out. I won't say no more about it because I'll go off on a whole nother show. Anunnaki.
It looks like that's your next live show, huh?
Yeah, Darren's going to be doing a show.
No, we're not doing the rabbit hole on that stuff. Just watch it. Everybody make your own mind up. Check it out, Gaia.com, or punch in your YouTube, Anunnaki. Just saying.
There we have it. Right from Darren, D420K. Make sure to check him out more than anything. And thank you so much for coming on. We had Wendy Cannabis on. Check her out. She is fantastic as always. And what do you want to say, Tara? Let's have you close it off.
Wow, I'm speechless. Like, when's Tara ever speechless, right? We had such a great show. I'm good. So you summed it up. Thanks, Drake. And thanks for joining me again. Always awesome co-host. Love hanging out with you. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with you in the morning, waking and baking. And stay tuned because hopefully we'll be having some more of these. We're just going to have some pop-up wake and bakes. Hopefully we can get up actually and wake and bake. Get a little earlier. I got some garden work. I'm going to definitely be going out in the garden and harvesting. I might do a live on Instagram. Maybe I'll throw it out on Instagram. We'll see. I don't know. Stay tuned. Hit the bell. You better follow me on one or the other so you can follow it. And I got an auto flower to harvest, so that's what I'll be doing. So, do you know when your next live is, D?
No, but I want to do at least one a week, or
Perfect.
it just depends. If something comes up and I'm doing it, then let's do a live. It just, you never know, right?
Awesome. I love the spontaneous. Yeah, we got to do that. Sometimes life is just spontaneous, and we can't always plan for this shit, right?
Yep, that's right.
Hell yeah. All right. Peace, love, and 420. Have an awesome, happy day, y'all.